How you doing?
Happy birthday, nephew.
That's simple. A lot of like to spend their money. We love to spend our money. We can't take none of this. None. Ain't no armored trucks pulling up at no funerals. Simple. So you better enjoy this. A fool and his money will part. We do this.
Lil Meech just flipped the script, and it's getting wild. He's not staying quiet anymore. He's straight up calling out Rick Ross for allegedly scamming his father, Big Meech, out of a jaw-dropping $120 million. That's not small money. That's empire-level cash, and the accusations are setting the internet on fire. Fans are stunned, insiders are talking, and everyone wants to know what really went down between the BMF legacy and the self-proclaimed boss. But this isn't your typical rap beef full of sneak disses and subliminals. This one's personal. The tension's building like never before, with Lil Meech throwing heavy shots and Ross standing firm like he's untouchable. It's turning into an all-out battle, BMF versus Rick Ross, and neither side looks ready to wave the white flag. The streets are watching every move, the fans are dissecting every post, and things are about to explode louder than ever before. The hip-hop world is in absolute chaos right now. Social media is divided straight down the middle. Fans are taking sides. Arguments are breaking out in every comment section, and every new post only makes the flames burn hotter. This could easily turn into one of the wildest showdowns the game's seen in years. In this video, we're diving deep into Lil Meech's explosive accusations.
It's gonna be iconic. Too many names to list, but let me salute some of the legends. Lil Baby, Boss Man D-Lo, 21 Savage, Sexy Red, Ricky Rose. Now, this the first time it's ever been done. Me performing BMF with the icon himself. This gonna be special. Epic. Get your tickets right now.
I'm back.
A quick Google search for you says that your net worth is $20 million.
I know I got more money than that. I might go 70 days without looking at my exact total amount of my money because it gives me anxiety, keep looking at numbers all day. It's like when you put money in stocks, the stock trader told me, say, put a lot of money in stock, don't keep looking at that and drive you crazy.
The truth behind this alleged $120 million hustle and how it could shake the very foundation of the BMF legacy forever. Word on the street is that Rick Ross just played Big Meech like a pawn in a massive money scheme that left everyone stunned. And of course, 50 Cent didn't waste a second. He jumped in, roasting the whole situation and turning social media upside down. But here's where it gets crazy. People are now saying this wasn't a surprise at all. According to insiders, this was brewing for a long time, and the only one who didn't see it coming was Big Meech himself. Ross came in slick, moving like a businessman with vision, promising movie deals, high-end partnerships, and an empire that sounded too good to fail. He flashed Hollywood dreams and sold the idea of turning BMF's street legend into a billion-dollar brand. It looked like a new era for Meech and his son, one filled with success, redemption, and respect. But once the cameras stopped flashing and the headlines faded, everything changed. Ross kept living large, surrounded by luxury and success, while Big Meech and Lil Meech were left empty-handed. No deals, no progress, no real payoff. What started as a partnership started to look more like a setup. One insider even said, people felt bad for Lil Meech, but not for the grown men who should have seen it coming. That quote hit hard, because in this game, it's business, not sympathy. When Big Meech walked out of prison last October, fans were hyped to see the king reclaim his throne. Everyone thought this was the comeback moment, a chance for him to finally turn the BMF name into a legit empire. But then Rick Ross appeared, talking about a $120 million movie franchise and a so-called entertainment empire in the making. On paper, it looked incredible. Like Meech was finally about to cash in on his own legacy, except none of it was real. Those film projects never existed. That payout, here's where things get cold, real cold. Ross wasn't confused or misled. He knew exactly what he was doing from day one. If loyalty truly meant something to him, none of this drama would have ever played out like this. The streets caught on fast and they didn't bite their tongues. They called him out for what it was, straight up clout chasing.
Yeah, so look. I do want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film.
People could see through the act. While Ross was busy flaunting connections and living off the shine, everyone knew who was really putting in the work to keep the BMF name alive: 50 Cent. From the start, 50 was the one grinding behind the scenes, making sure Big Meech's legacy wasn't forgotten. He's the reason the BMF story got turned into a hit TV series, the one who poured his own money into production, and the one who personally paid for Lil Meech's acting lessons so he could become the face of his father's empire on screen. While others were talking, 50 was building, turning a name with a heavy past into a respected brand with a powerful future. Meanwhile, Rick Ross was out doing what he's always done, hyping himself up, chasing the spotlight, and promoting his name louder than the story itself. He was chasing headlines, dropping slick captions, and talking like he built the whole thing, when in reality, there was nothing concrete behind it. Fans noticed that pattern quick. The glitz was all there, but the loyalty was missing.
Shoulder broke, but we still getting to the money. We still count paper. This
Think about it. It was all part of the plan. 50 Cent and Rick Ross, they set up Big Meech. Freeway Ricky, Rick Ross, and now you got 50 Cent. He owning the rights to BM.
Take a picture with Rick Ross. Put your back against the wall and just slide down.
But here's where it gets messy. For reasons no one could quite figure out, Lil Meech decided to side with Ross instead of the man who literally gave him his big break. That decision didn't just confuse people. It sent shockwaves through the industry. Even Tony Yayo couldn't stay silent on this one. He came out swinging, backing 50 Cent all the way, and reminding everyone that 50 had been in Lil Meech's corner since day one. No gimmicks, no fake loyalty, no flashy talk, just real solid support from a man who actually invested in his growth. But word on the block is that the pressure's finally catching up to Lil Meech. The money's slowing down, the buzz is cooling off, and frustration's starting to take over. Because when you strip away the smoke and mirrors, one thing becomes clear. Rick Ross was never there out of brotherhood or loyalty. He was there to poke at 50 and keep the feud alive. Now Lil Meech doesn't look like the boss of a growing empire. He looks like a pawn caught in somebody else's power game. The image that once screamed legacy and family has turned into something sadder. A young man stuck between two giants throwing shade from every angle. That's when 50 Cent decided he'd had enough. And in true 50 fashion, he didn't drop a diss track. He dropped a joke so sharp it sliced through the internet. He took to social media, clowning the situation and saying Rick Ross told Lil Meech to hand over his father's address.
Ross take a shit a couple weeks ago about a girl that you're not even with no more.
We wearing Travis Scott's all week.
What is it with you and Ross that's just been going on for so long?
Nothing else works for him, outside of mentioning me. When things get bad, you mention me. It gets covered further. I get covered across the board. They get covered on the hip hop blog. It is what it is. And you watch, because I have nothing else to say. You just see it happen periodically as it goes. You know, you see that big white elephant, that property he lives at? It costs more than the nightclubs. He's in the nightclubs. What kind of rich cut his own grass? Why are you out there cutting your own grass? You're trying to save money, nigga? You don't want to pay for the lawn to get cut, huh?
Ain't nothing wrong with cutting your grass.
So he could send some Wingstop wings. Fans lost it. The internet exploded with memes, comments, and laughter. But underneath the humor, there was a heavy message. 50 wasn't just joking. He was calling Ross out for offering nothing real, just empty gestures dressed up as loyalty. In 50's eyes, Ross wasn't giving the Meech family any real value, just crumbs disguised as connection. Then, things got personal. 50 started pulling back the curtain on what was happening behind the scenes. He claimed he had to step in when Lil Meech allegedly showed up to set intoxicated, threw up during training, and started losing focus on production. Fans were stunned, not just because of what 50 said, but because he made it sound like he'd been carrying more of the responsibility than anyone realized. Through all the chaos, 50 Cent positioned himself like the protector, the one keeping Lil Meech's career from falling apart while everyone else seemed to be moving reckless. In his eyes, Rick Ross and Big Meech were playing too fast and too loose with a name that once carried untouchable respect. He saw himself as the only one holding the foundation steady, the only one fighting to keep the BMF story alive with dignity and discipline. But even after everything, the jokes, the shade, the public fallout.
When that song came out, that's probably like the hottest I ever seen a rapper. People was confronting Ross everywhere, 100 deep, with Larry Hoover Jr., 100 deep to confront Ross about saying the old man name in the song. Even some of the BMF guys for saying he think he Big Meech. When it come to Meech, Meech had guys getting BMF tats on their face in the pen.
Lil Meech still stood by Ross's side. Cameras caught them out together, laughing, clubbing, smiling like the tension never existed, flashing bottles, posing for photos, giving the illusion that the empire was still shining bright. But the streets weren't fooled. Not for a second. Then came Michael Rainey Jr., better known as Power's very own Tariq. And when he stepped into the mix, things went from messy to straight-up explosive. He didn't hold back or sugarcoat a single word. In a bold move, he said he didn't feel bad for Lil Meech or Big Meech because, in his words, grown men should have seen this coming. That clip went viral in seconds. It was everywhere, lighting up timelines, fan pages, and gossip sites like wildfire. The internet couldn't stop replaying it, debating every word he said. And right in the middle of the chaos, Rick Ross dropped his own bomb. In a fiery promo video, he shouted, "Ricky Rose, the time has come. February 13th, get your tickets right now. Florida, Miami, Detroit, California, ATL, we're making history." That clip spread across social media like a storm, hyping up his name even more, like he was feeding off the controversy. The timing couldn't have been more strategic. It was like Ross was using the entire scandal to fuel his brand and keep his name echoing across every city he mentioned. But 50 Cent saw it all, and he wasn't about to let it slide. He jumped back into the mix, doubling down behind Michael Rainey Jr.'s comments and making it crystal clear. The Meech camp looked weak, lost, and completely outplayed. 50 didn't backtrack, didn't stay quiet, didn't try to smooth things over. He came loud, raw, and confident, stamping his point like he was carving it into hip-hop history. To him, this was another painful reminder of bad loyalty, worse judgment, and misplaced trust. Later, Ross allegedly brushed the whole thing off, calling it a test of strength. Cold, calculated, and exactly the kind of move people have come to expect from him. It wasn't shock, it was strategy. The same smooth-talking game Ross has been playing for years, always one step ahead in the narrative, always flipping things so he looks untouchable, even when the truth's staring him right in the face. But he wasn't done yet, not even close. Ross tried to flip the script again.
I'm Big Meech, entrepreneur, here at 5 Star Smiles to make sure that my smile is right forever. First off, image is everything to me, so the first thing people notice is the smile. So knowing that I was going to be doing probably interviews and stuff like that and be in the limelight, I wanted to make sure that was the first thing I had did. And that's the thing, like a lot of people in the prison, they neglect our teeth.
Stepping back into the spotlight and talking big about making a BMF movie. He claimed fans had already seen the small-budget TV version, but now it was time for a real production, a massive high-end blockbuster that would supposedly put everything else to shame. He started name-dropping like crazy. F. Gary Gray, Antoine Fuqua, even Tarantino, acting like the biggest directors in Hollywood were already sitting at his table, waiting for his call. Wack 100 didn't hold back for a second. He went straight for the truth and said what a lot of people were already thinking. He said if Rick Ross genuinely wanted to build something real with Big Meech, he would have done it quietly, no cameras, no extra talk, no media circus. Real power moves don't need to be broadcasted, and real loyalty doesn't need validation from the crowd. But instead, Ross turned the whole thing into a one-man performance, putting himself front and center in every shot, every headline, every interview. The flashy deals, the staged photos, the over-the-top talk, everything revolved around him. Wack called it out plain and simple. Ross wasn't honoring Big Meech, he was using him. He paraded the BMF name around for clout, pushing that connection like it was a trophy to boost his own image. And honestly, that said it all. Because if Ross was really about business, he would have built the empire first and bragged later. From the start, it was never about Meech. It was about Ross expanding his own fame. Behind closed doors, insiders say he played a slick game, selling dreams of million-dollar projects, movie deals, and partnerships that never existed. Meanwhile, his own spotlight kept getting brighter while BMF's name started fading into the background. It's the kind of move that's all too familiar in this industry. Make promises, chase headlines, then disappear once the cameras stop rolling. Even worse, whispers claim Ross was slowly driving a wedge between Big Meech and 50 Cent, the same man who helped Lil Meech become a legitimate actor and kept the BMF legacy alive through the hit show. That's where things turned cold. What should have been a revival of brotherhood turned into another messy power play. Rick Ross couldn't help himself. He took things to a whole new level of petty. He started bragging about buying people's masters, flexing like he owned the industry, and even calling out 50 Cent by name. With that signature smirk, Ross mocked him, claiming he could buy 50's masters anytime. It was pure provocation, the kind of jab meant to sting, not just make headlines. And of course, the internet ate it up with fans taking sides like it was a heavyweight showdown. Then in another clip, Ross turned his attention toward Lil Meech, throwing shade at his entire journey. He made slick comments about how 50 had to take him out of Detroit and put him in acting school, saying he remembered when Lil Meech was just rapping with no one backing him. But instead of sounding confident, Ross just exposed what everyone already knew: his obsession with staying in the spotlight. Every dig, every post, every clip showed it loud and clear. Ross couldn't stand not being the center of attention, even if it meant tearing down someone else's grind. And just when the buzz around BMF started to cool off, that's when Ross pulled his usual move. He went quiet. No calls, no interviews, no appearances, just radio silence. He cut off contact with the Meech camp completely, vanishing right when things started slipping out of control. Fans noticed the switch up instantly, because that's when the truth finally hit hard. Ross was never in it for the loyalty, the brotherhood, or the legacy. He was only ever loyal to his own pockets. It's all out there in black and white. Rick Ross's entire persona came straight from the real Rick Ross, the street legend who was behind bars while this rapper borrowed his name, his image, and his story to build a multi-million-dollar brand. But when the real Rick Ross got out, he confronted him, even took him to court trying to reclaim his identity. Still, Ross didn't back down. He doubled up, kept profiting off the myth he created, and then he did it again, this time with Larry Hoover, another incarcerated icon. Ross dropped Hoover's name in songs, interviews, even visuals, stacking clout off someone else's legacy. Same play, different legend. And now with Big Meech, it's starting to look like history repeating itself. Another borrowed name, another twisted legacy, another man left in the shadows while Ross shines under someone else's light. It paints a clear picture. Rick Ross has been eating off other people's pain for years, turning real struggles into his next marketing move. And when the smoke clears, he's always the one walking away with the win. Truth is, 50 Cent called it from the start. He's been saying Ross never earned respect as a man, only as a marketer. And the fans aren't holding back either. One viral comment summed it up perfectly. Rick Ross is a fraud, period. Another said, Ross messed up the whole legacy chasing clout. The people have spoken. But the real question now is Ross just playing the game, or did he really leave Big Meech high and dry? Was Meech's loyalty misplaced, or was he simply outplayed in a much bigger hustle? And let me know what you think in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real talk like this.